Hello, everybody. I'm Russell Hill. I'm your host of another episode, and this is a special one of WTF, and that is What the Fixed Ops to All You. And I'm joined today by.
Hi, everybody. I'm Charity Dunning. I'm the co host here at What the Fixed Ops. And before I introduce you to our guests today, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Wins. It's really great for you to support the people who support us. So check them out. We have a link in the description below. Now, of course, you probably know her. You've probably seen her. You probably watched her show. She is the sales and marketing manager at Parts Edge. Kaylee Felio, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, we are so excited. Everybody, I know most of you know her because she is the parts girl.
Thank you.
That's right. And you have a presentation coming up at NADA 2024. And I've dug around and found it. And I have the title. It's Unleashing the Potential of Purposeful Inventory Management. Is that
Wow.
right?
Yeah, that's right. It's so wordy, but it's like I had to put all those words in to make it. Yeah.
Well, before we talk about that, let's talk about what's really important. Any big life changes recently?
Yeah, I'm just curious. Is there?
Oh, yes. I have a new baby. He is 4 weeks old now,
Oh,
I think.
wow.
Does he have a name?
Yes, his name's Aiden.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, it was a very I don't know the word to describe of just welcoming him into the world was crazy. It happened really fast and I was like in denial that it was happening, but it happened fast.
Yeah.
What a
Well,
blessing.
yeah,
Mhm.
congratulations. That's
Thank you.
amazing. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you juggle a baby and do podcasts and work. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
recorded any podcasts yet, but I have been working still, and that's been a lot. So I'm adding the podcast into the mix. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, when we first met and started interacting with Kaylee, it was very early on in COVID, and Cherry just had a baby. So every episode, we had Nico on there, just part of the episode, and a lot of times he still is, but he's not quite as silent as he used to be, or
Yeah.
sleeping, etc. But you know, um, so this congratulations for Aiden, beautiful name. You got a beautiful family. Uh, you're a successful podcaster extraordinaire. Your marketing is phenomenal, and every one of you know what I'm talking about. But we got NADA coming up, and I got to tell you, when Charity and I last year we did 3 workshops in NADA, and it's almost like, oh my gosh, what goes into prep for that? And I'm not trying to make you nervous or anything, but it's probably going to happen. So it's like, okay, I had to stand on the stage and like, okay, there's all these people on there all looking right at me. What am I supposed to say? Anyway, don't get
You're
nervous. It's
not
like,
helping.
Yeah, we were shocked. We were in a room. I think there were like 500 chairs or something. And we were like, okay, this isn't that bad. And then later we found out there was another room that we were being
overflow. Yeah.
overflow room where people were watching there. So it was more like 800. We were grateful we didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope no one tells me that. Luckily, I'm only talking about parts, so like I feel like people don't care as much about it. Maybe.
They do.
They
It's
I
do.
becoming more
They
and
show
more
up.
of a topic. And
they
I think most of it's because of who you are and what you do and what your company does.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's been a lot of people are noticing it more, but I'm hoping maybe like for the presentation, people won't notice it. But every time I think about it, I get like really anxious.
Yeah, it is stressful standing up on a stage
Let,
in
let
front
me
of
tell
all
you,
those
yeah,
people.
let me tell you one of the things I did when I got up there. Um, and I saw this on YouTube or something like that. So, I'm freaking out thinking about this, right?
Yeah.
And then I have moments where I'm cool. It's okay, no problem. And so when I get up there, what I do is I take my 2 fingers and I pinch the inside of my thigh to redirect to the pain of pinching my thigh that actually got bruised from pinching it so hard. But it really helped me calm down and focus in that moment. I just something I throw out there.
Interesting.
I
Okay.
didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
I
did
had
that.
no idea you were doing that, Russell.
Yep. Yep.
Got
I just
Bruce.
hid behind Russell. That's what I did.
Yeah, right.
Well, I saw your guys' presentation and I thought you guys did a very good job. So,
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
and you
very
didn't
much.
look nervous at all.
Oh, good.
Listen, it's quite an honor, Kaylee. I must tell you, this is not just a thing. This is NADA. It's the single largest worldwide event for automotive. Now, I know they have other types of things like this in other parts of the world and Canada and stuff like that, but not like we do here in the States. And talk about a way to be elevated. It's amazing. We are so happy for you.
Yeah. Kaylee, you'll get to put, okay, your sales and marketing manager, podcaster, and now on your LinkedIn profile, you get to say NADA speaker.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
so cool.
So
So
I
exciting.
I don't even know if you know this. We didn't know it, but a good friend of ours. There's a panel of these NADA people. They get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of requests or videos of people that want to be on the workshop. But in the overall scheme of things, obviously a very small percentage are chosen, and
Mhm.
you were chosen, and that is quite an honor that you'll be able to take with you for the rest of your life. You did a couple of workshops at a NADA. That is
Yeah.
special because most people don't.
Mhm.
Well,
Now you're
thank
really
you.
nervous.
Yeah, now I'm
Yeah,
so
right.
nervous.
Okay, I'll stop. I'll stop.
You got a few months. You got a few months.
I got a few months. I keep putting things off, honestly. Like it shows up on my reminders. I'm like, I could try to do that next week.
I try to do that, and then Charity doesn't let me.
Yeah,
Oh,
we studied hard for
We did.
NADA. We did like until we were perfect and we knew exactly what each other were going to say and whose slides were whose. And like when we knew like what number each slide belonged to who. And then when we
mhm.
showed up at NADA, they put another slide at the beginning of our presentation and it threw off our numbers.
It did.
But we like adapted really quickly and figured it out. So it was so much fun. And yeah, I think NADA really has their eyes on the industry, see who's, making waves and they like to have a good different mix of people every year. So they've been seeing your podcast,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
and I got to tell you, as the last couple of years, there's more and more buzz around fixed operations and service and parts. They're
There
really
is.
they know they have a huge problem with retention, and everything plays a part in that. And it also, I mean, parts play a huge, significant part of that, right?
It really does. You have to have the parts to service the customers. So
You
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Well, Kaylee, I went and I dug through your presentation and I thought we'd go over a few key points. And so I'll just start at the beginning. The parts department is a significant gross profit for the dealership, but you say very underrepresented. So do you
Mhm.
want to tell us a little bit about what you mean by that?
Yeah.
I want to say that it's still underrepresented, but it's definitely made a lot of improvements in the last couple of years, just based on the conversations I've had with dealers. And the fact that I'm actually having conversations with dealers and GMs, and they're not like, just go
Sure.
talk to my parts manager. Um, so that's kind of what I mean is I feel like dealers, upper management's taking notice and noticing that parts managers actually need some support and tools to make their jobs and make things a lot easier for them.
Do you think most parts managers feel underfunded, understaffed, undersupported at this point?
I feel like in general, probably, yeah. Because when I talk to some of them, it's always there's sometimes, expense. They can't spend any money or so I just don't feel like it's hard to say that they're all under supported because there's so many great dealerships out there that
Sure.
support their parts. But there still are some that are thrown into the role of a parts manager and they still don't get training or any type of formal like support or anything. They're just like, here you go, try to figure it out. So that's
Do
kind of
you
what I mean by that.
good?
Yeah.
So since this is a big venue for you
Mhm.
and a great platform to introduce stuff, what sort of person you think overall is going to be interested, or is there many different people that should attend? Let our audience know who should attend really?
I think anyone at the dealership, because we're going to be talking about the inventory and how to control and what pain points there are, what things to look for. And if you're not familiar with the parts department, because that's the other thing too. Every time I talk to someone that's upper management, they always say they don't really have as much experience. Parts isn't what they know. They know a little bit, but not a lot. So I feel like those are the people that should come so that they can learn more about the inventory and how to work more proactively with their parts managers. And then on the flip side, parts managers that know what they're doing, know, everything, they should come to it as well because you never know what you're going to get out of it.
No, and I think most dealer principals or general managers, our experience is they grew up on the variable side. They know just as little about service as they do about parts.
Yeah,
But that's
exactly.
starting to change because people like us are a known quantity and presence in the industry talking about these things that mostly has all happened. Everything that's happening today is because of what happened in COVID. Look at us. I mean, there wasn't this kind of stuff 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
No, there
No.
wasn't at all. I don't think parts was really even at NADA as far as like a category or a topic. So it's really exciting to see that.
Are you doing it by yourself?
Yes,
Oh, okay. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I'm just kidding. You're
I
gonna
know.
be
My
listen.
boss, my bosses said that they're coming to watch, and I tried to tell them they can't.
Just give them the
Yeah,
wrong room number.
yeah.
Yeah, at the wrong time. Sorry.
Are you doing 2 or 3 sessions?
I think as far as I understand, it's just one.
One. Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's
they
on.
asked us, I think it was in the 11th hour, they asked
Yeah.
us if we could, we did two, and then they asked us about an international one, people that didn't speak English. That was our very first one, actually. And they had, what do you call them? They had all the things in their ears and
Yeah.
they were
Yeah.
translating.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. That was our first one. It was a good way to sort of ease in because it
Yeah.
was a smaller group, maybe around 300 people.
Just
And
Right?
yeah, well, we saw that and we're like, oh, well, this isn't so bad, And the
Yeah.
next day we're like, there's 800 people. And we're like,
Except things are a little off because I like to be animated, and if I can cut them up and get them to smile or laugh or something like that, just to engage everybody. So I remember saying something that would immediately invoke some kind of response, and they're all just sitting there looking because the translator hadn't caught up yet. So anyway, and I already moved on. But anyway,
gonna feed off the audience. That's kind of like when you do lives on, like you're not like you're so delayed when
yeah.
people are commenting. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
yeah. So you'll be discussing reallocating resources so parts managers can shift their time from reactive to proactive. So tell us about that, Kaylee.
Well, it all boils down to the data, and so we're going to talk about this. I say we, but I'm going to be talking about this. um, just how to organize the inventory in the DMS, and just ways to be more proactive, to make better decisions, and controlling the inventory. So I don't know if we want to go down too far with the.
Yeah, I mean, it's really up to you. And speaking of inventory, that was my next question. So you share that the parts departments have unlimited growth potential with the right mix of inventory optimization and online sales. So can you tell us like a little bit about what the trend, let's see, what the idle inventory trend is?
Well, it's continuously growing. So idle inventory is more than just obsolescence, which most people consider it, parts that are older than, that haven't had sales or receipts in over 13 months. But we consider idle inventory even further along because there's different categories really. So there's technical obsolescence, parts that haven't sold in the 6 to 12 month no sell, no receipt category. Um, Anything that didn't meet the phasing criterias. So now that I've described idle inventory, what was the question?
Well, you mentioned there's a trend in idle inventory.
Oh, because it's growing, yes. Well, because there's so many different guidelines to follow depending on the manufacturer and what you should be stocking. So over the years of Parts Edge working with dealerships, because we've been around for about 30 years, we've just seen this steady growth of idle inventory, and then it's even harder for parts managers to keep that at a lower amount. So when I say proactive, it's really just having those times where you're looking at the data and reviewing things to make better decisions, having it right in front of you, because um what we've found is it's not as clear. Parts managers kind of have to dig for this information, so you have to define it and then review it constantly so that you're staying ahead of it.
Yeah, they can get really, really stuck with a lot of inventory if they're not watching it.
Yes.
And I've, with the presentations that Charity and I've done at NADA or Digital Dealer, um, AI is becoming a big topic, with distribution and delivery and stuff like that. Is that something that you talk about with your clients or the OEMs? Is that starting to play more of a role?
Well, I would say yes, we do talk about AI, but we tend to stay in our lane as far as just focusing on inventory control and really because we don't want to be all things to everyone. We want to be like really good at one thing, and that's been inventory control. But when it comes to AI, I feel like just what I've understood from it is we kind of have developed a version of it, but I wouldn't call it AI because it's not what AI is. But what we've created is a way to look ahead and really look at and organize data. And I think that's kind of what AI does is it's looking at the data that's given and then making better you present it back to you and you're making decisions on that, I think.
There's two. I'm in a lot of different clubhouse rooms and different things from service and parts to used cars to fixed operations to parts, etc. And what most people don't know is that everybody hears AI, 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 and some people are a little scared, and then some people don't even know what they're really presenting. And I'm going to use an example like our company. We have two different types of AI. And they say, two different types. Yeah. Because the buzzword is AI. They're automatically thinking machine learning, artificial intelligence. And yes, we have that in our videos. But the other AI, which a lot of companies, I forgot what the threshold was, that actually they let people's head run with it. It's AI, but it's automated intelligence through
Yes.
programming. And that's what you're talking about. You're talking about automated intelligence to help them manage and dissect the data and programs that are built to do that for them, not necessarily the machine learning type.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. That was really helpful. And I think one way I've even described it is like we're pulling the levers behind the scenes on the
Yeah.
DMS to automatically do things for the parts managers. And it's almost like we're teaching them, and then it's like after they learn that, why would they continue to manually do it? It's like teaching someone, it's like having the parts manager sweep. Why would you have them sweep? They need to do other things with their time. Let us pull those levers in the background. So,
That's great.
That
That's
makes
great.
sense. So, Kaylee, do parts managers in general, do they understand what obsolescence is?
yeah, I would say
Yeah.
so. Yeah,
But
definitely.
it kind of looks like you have some calculations to share that might be really helpful if you attend this workshop and you want to learn something that relate to that.
Yeah, and that would probably be the technical obsolescence category because that's not something that the DMS automatically calculates. So it's just taking those parts in the 6 to 12 month category and getting a monthly average. So you divide it by six because there's 6 months into that. And then that kind of gives you an idea of what your obsolescence is going to grow each month moving forward if you're not accruing or offsetting obsolescence. So that's how you can begin to see like, okay, I have 5,000 in my technical obsolescence. That's going to go over to my 13 months no sale, 13 months no receipt. If I'm not putting 10,000 onto it, then it'll decrease by 5, I guess, if that makes sense.
What does no receipt mean?
So no receipt is when a part is not it's months no sale is it hasn't sold in those months. No receipt is it also hasn't receipted into the inventory because it's kind of like what the manufacturers do. They look at their receipt dates. They don't look at the sale dates because you could receipt a part in that hasn't sold in 12 months. So
Okay.
it's important to look at those two categories because now I'm confusing myself. I need a whiteboard.
So if they don't sell certain parts, there's a point in time though before, I mean, where they can send it back to the manufacturer, and then there's another point in time where they can't do that. They just own it, and they may have it forever.
Well, those are the parts that are protected by so not the whole entire inventory is protected by the manufacturer. And then each manufacturer has guidelines. So I think average maybe 15 months, I would say, is where they can send things back. But our whole philosophy is, minimizing those because you still are holding that part for 15 months. It's taking up shelf space. You're keeping it safe. So
Right.
even though you can return it, it's wasting people's time and money. So yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's important.
Mhm.
How does wholesale affect that?
Wholesale is a whole nother animal.
Okay.
So
Do you
yeah,
have anything to do with that, or?
well, we do. So, we have several dealerships that are in the wholesale business. So it's one of those things where I think those dealerships tend to have higher obsolescence because there's a lot more returns that happened from your wholesale clients. So just staying on top of the process and making sure you charge people or having a defined process with wholesale. Um, so that's more of our consultative service is just really coaching people on what might work best for their market and their wholesale business. But that's a separate kind of.
Well, tell us what the domino effect of obsolescence is.
So that's kind of what we got into with the technical obsolescence. So we show dealerships their of course what's selling, but then we show them their excess stock and their forced stock. So forced stock is going to be your special orders, um, anything that didn't meet the phasing criteria, basically that you shouldn't have had stocked because you're DMS, but you needed to. Um, so those are kind of like if you're not looking at those categories, that's kind of the domino effect because if you're not returning, staying on top of returns or we're minimizing those interactions that happen, then they're going to move into that next bucket of your technical obsolescence and then eventually obsolescence.
You got all this, Russell?
You know what? Just a little bit of it. I'm learning it, and
It's a
I'll
lot.
tell you what. I would certainly sit in on it because it's really important. You can make or lose a lot of money in parts, and it has a direct impact on what the service side is doing on the deliverables for them being able to fix the customer's car and how all that's communicated. And so I think, it is imperative.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much data involved in interactions with the teams and just making we always say the right breadth and width to so that you can have the right mix of parts, but not too much of parts, just breadth and width so that you can sell your inventory and not have it overstocking you because like you said, it's in the inventory the average inventory is well over I would say $300,000. That's a lot of money invested,
Yep.
and it's the actual dollars of the dealer invested, just like the used car inventory.
Yeah. And the longer you hold on to it, the more it costs you.
Same thing. They're just smaller. They're not cars.
Yeah.
They're
Well, still, and then you It's different by manufacturer. It's different. It's different by the size of the store. How do you know how to advise on what's what? It's just that's what you do. That's your area of expertise, or is it different?
Um,
What you do for stores is different for the most part, depending on these variables, or what are some of the other variables?
Yeah, because that's the thing. We don't try to put any dealership in a box because there's different markets, there's different manufacturers. There's also different level of understanding per the parts manager. You
Sure.
know, what we're gonna do for a green new parts manager is gonna be different for a 20-year parts manager. Um, so it's just really kind of assessing where they're at, but the goal is really the same, and that's inventory control, and like we discussed, getting in that DMS and making it work better for them to control things and looking at the data and all of the good stuff. So we just know all the different manufacturers and the codes and the things and the DMSs because we've been doing it for 30 years. So
Yeah.
we've written the process.
How on earth? How? Go ahead, Cherry.
No, you go ahead. It's
How? How on earth? Okay, you come in with this processor and system, et cetera. You just come in one time? Is it live? Is it Zoom? I mean, and what is the ongoing process if somebody uh, hires you guys?
That's a great question. So we're a month-to-month service, and what we do is like I said, it depends on the needs of the parts manager. So a 20-year isn't going to need to interact with us on a day-to-day as much as like a greener parts manager, but the process is, like I said, the same. So once we look at how their DMS is set up, then we propose what we'd like to set up in the DMS. So we're showing them the different sources and why it's important to break the parts out into these different categories or sources. And then we do that work. So we're not like, here you go, good luck trying to figure out how to set this up. We actually set it up for them. And then we've written a process and code to manage that process or maintain the sourcing. So we're looking at every part that's added into the system every day, moving them into the right sources, so that all the sources and everything can do what they're supposed to do for the inventory. Um, so it's a monthly service, but we're also working behind the scenes per se every day in the DMS.
Do you have ongoing training or refresher courses, or can they reach out to you, et cetera? Okay.
Yeah, they our parts managers can reach out to us every day because we have a support team. They can request special reports. They can, because what I see too is once they're set up, then a parts manager starts really interacting with us like, hey, why does this do this? Or can I get a list of all my obsolescence parts? Or, hey, I want to lock in these brakes with this price with this source. I'm just like throwing out random stuff. So it's kind of like having an assistant because you can just shoot off a message and then it happens. Um, and then as far as like ongoing consultative calls or meetings is kind of what you were talking about. That's as requested. So when we're getting started, of course, meeting with them monthly. But then as time goes on, they don't need to meet with us as often.
Sure.
um, it just kind of depends, like I said, on the needs of the parts manager because some of the top parts managers don't meet with us as much because they don't really need to. We're just
Well,
saving them.
other than your company, I really don't know of any other ones in the industry. And I'm involved in this stuff all day long from early in the morning. And my question to you is, Kaylee, your presence, your marketing, the Parts Girl podcast, etc., has that impacted sales?
I think so. I want to say that because of me, sales and marketing has really grown a lot, but I also think it has to do with what we've gone through as an industry and the fact that there are so many newer parts managers coming in. Um, so I think it's kind of like a combination of the both. I don't want to take the full credit. So
No,
that's
sure.
just not
take
who I
credit.
am. But I'll take some of it because it has
Yeah.
grown a lot, and
And
I'm
and do
very
you,
grateful.
and do you get a commission on that?
Well, I'm in
Russell.
sales, so yes.
That's right. Well,
Um,
obviously the owners are very supportive of what you do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Chuck is really happy that he doesn't have to speak as much now that I'm starting to get speaking things. But I'm also like, I'm not Chuck. He's
Yeah,
something.
but I don't really know Chuck. I think I may have met him, or you may have
yeah.
introduced him to Charity and I. Uh, but
Oh, that
you
was probably Cliff. If
oh,
that was
Cliff.
the,
I think it was
yeah,
Cliff.
it was
Mhm.
probably Cliff.
Yeah, but
He's the technical, programmer side.
does he speak? Does he do speaking or no?
No, no, he hides.
So
But that
you're
doesn't.
there.
He's
He's
very
a
smart.
programmer, Russell.
Yeah, he's an engineer, programmer, all
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, my business partner Rick, we talk sometimes, and actually, we've known each other a long, long time. But you don't want him doing a presentation. I can tell you that. He's
I think he'd be pretty good at it.
okay,
And
except that, and particularly when it comes to technical stuff. But if you have salespeople in the room, if you have general managers and stuff like that, it's like he can quickly, and he doesn't mean to do it. He's very good, particularly when we do it together. It's a match made in heaven because we get
Yeah,
both sides of it. But by himself, he can take you down a wormhole. I mean, he's that analytical about stuff, and it's great. I've learned so much from him. I wouldn't even be where I'm at today because of some of the things that I've learned from him over the years. And of course, our company wouldn't be where it's at today if it wasn't for somebody like Charity.
absolutely.
It's very important, right? Branding,
It is.
awareness, and you have a lot of branding and awareness.
yeah, I bet they really appreciate that. That
Oh,
for you, right?
yeah, it was definitely scary at first when I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna try to do these things," and they're like, "I don't know." And then once it started working, it just was good.
Yeah.
Um, but they're
You
both very analytical, like you were saying, but on different spectrums. Like Chuck's more parts analytical, and then Cliff's more computer, and but then them two together, it's just like,
There you go.
yeah,
yeah. Well, you've grown so much so fast, Kaylee.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
interesting because we kind of met you around the time that this company started, and you've kind of grown. If it was a chart, we'd be like right along together, going on. So it's fun to watch, and congratulations for getting a presentation at NADA. That's a really big deal.
Yep.
You should be
thank
really
you.
proud of yourself. And this is the last question I have for you. What's the overall message you want to convey to parts people in this workshop? Why should they come?
Ooh, okay. You didn't prepare me for that one.
I don't prepare people.
Take your time because
You know,
because we can edit this part out too. So take your time.
yeah, and I think there's so much I want to say, but I feel like what I really want to say is that this presentation, there may be stuff that I'm presenting that you already know, but I think the goal is to really start thinking. And now I'm hating using the word proactive because I feel like we're all using it so much, but I feel like that's really what I want to show is like try to think outside the box on the way that you've always done things and maybe try to adjust and tweak things to make it work better because there are ways like technology that can really make our lives easier. And I know it can be overwhelming, I think, as when you're adopting new tech because you're like,
It's
well,
scary.
yeah, it's scary, and then it's like, well, can it do this for me or can it do that? And then you're like, oh, I don't have to do that anymore. So it's just all those little things that so that's what I want people to pay attention in their parts department, invest in their people because I think that that's what we need to do more in 2024 is keep investing in our people so that they can grow and we can learn more about technology and do more with it. So
Absolutely. And what day and time are you speaking so everybody can mark it on their calendars and
yes,
specifically look for you?
it just changed, so let me make sure I have
It
it right.
changed.
It changed, they changed it on me just a little bit. It's Saturday the 3rd at 1 o'clock.
Good time slot.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep. I think we had one of those. Yeah. So yeah, you're gonna knock it. There's so much love and support for you and what you do. I don't even think you know how much. You might
Oh,
have some idea because a lot of people make comments. I mean, we're a small industry. Hell, I see you every day, everywhere. Comments or or in rooms or something like that, or on different types of shows, and you've become a known quantity. And I think you're going to be very surprised with the number of, and of course that'll probably scare you, but number of people that are going to show up and make sure that they know you're speaking, and more because they want to learn, and this is important, and two, because you're Kaylee. You have that kind of presence. You really do. You are so endeared out there. It's not even funny.
Well, thank you. That
Yeah.
means a lot. And now that we've done this, I've realized I really need to practice a lot more.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
procrastinate. I'm telling you, I do procrastinate. And if one for charity said, "No, we got a time, we got," but we went over and over and over and over and over,
Yeah.
and
And
of
we
course,
still made mistakes in the
yeah,
live
yeah. I
because
mean,
you
yeah.
just
At the end of
nobody
it.
else knew about them, but we did, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're like this. I know we got to end here. I don't know if you're like this, but we do so many of these, or recently, I'm starting to get invited to more and more, which I'm honored, like co-hosting on your show and stuff, and being a
Yes.
sponsor of Parts Girl podcast, which is exciting. But I find it really hard to watch myself
Oh,
after
yeah.
I mean, it's like I get ultra critical. Don't be that way, because you're going to say, "Oh, I could have done this, I could have done that." You know what? It's going to work out exactly the way it's supposed to work out, and you're going to have an enormous impact. And we're so honored and humbled and grateful to have Kaylee Felio on our show today talking about this stuff, because people need to be talking about it. And to make sure everybody out there listening and watching this, share it with your friends, like it, love it, and show up and support her, because she's an important member of our community. And thank you so much once again, and congratulations on Aiden, the newest addition
Oh,
to your family.
thank
And
you.
any other questions, Charity, or do you have any?
I just have a final thought about your nervousness. I'm trying to remember who it was. It might have been Dave O'Brien, and he was on our podcast quite a while back, and he told us his story about his first workshop at NADA. And it was like the worst case scenario of everything that could go wrong. So if it
Yeah,
would make you feel better, you can go back and find that one.
yeah,
I will.
yeah.
want to.
I think he said something. He's about halfway through or something, and people started getting up and leaving.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
bad.
yeah. Hold on, sit your ass back down there. You're not going anywhere. No, I can't say that, but
Yeah, I'm gonna get like something to throw at people if they start leaving. Don't leave.
no, they're going to be engaged, and a lot of people are going to find out and show up because of the presence you do have. Just inquiring minds are going to want to come and see you and hear about who is this Kaylee Felio and this Parts Girl. So thank you, everybody out there listening and watching this. Thank you, Kaylee, for all that you do, Charity, for all you do, and Patrick, for all you do, because this was another successful episode of WTF, and that's what the Fixed Ops to everybody out there. Have a good day.